Heroes, Chapter 2. I saw Nicole Renard for the first time in the 7th grade at St. Jude's Parochial School during arithmetic. Sister Matilda was standing at the blackboard illustrating a problem in decimals when the piece of chalk in her hands broke and fell to the floor. I leaped to my feet to retrieve the chalk. We were always eager to keep in the good graces of the nuns, who could be ruthless with punishments, using the ruler like a weapon, and ruthless too with the marks on our report cards. As I knelt on the floor, the door opened, and Mother Margaret, the Sister Superior, swept in the classroom, followed by the most beautiful girl I had ever seen. Okay, you can answer question number 1 here. It talks about how he leaps to his feet to get the chalk, and why would he do that? Why did he do that? He wanted to stay in the nuns' good graces, which means he wanted them to like him and not to be annoyed with him. To stay in somebody's good graces means that you're not in trouble with them, and they like you and want to help you. St. Jude's Parochial School means that it's a Catholic school, and arithmetic is math class. And I think that is it for this slide. So you should be able to answer question number 1 now. This is Nicole Renard. She is a new student here all the way from Albany, New York. Nicole Renard was small and slender, with shining black hair that fell to her shoulders. The pale purity of her face reminded me of the statue of Saint Teresa in the niche next to Father Balthazar's confessional in St. Jude's Church. As she looked modestly down to the floor, our eyes met, and a flash of recognition passed between us, as if we had known each other before. Something else flashed in her eyes, too, a hint of mischief, as if she were telling me that we were going to have good times together. Then the flash was gone, and she was Saint Teresa again, once more, and I knelt there like a knight at her feet. Her sword having touched my shoulder, I silently pledged my love and loyalty forever. Sister Matilda directed her to a vacant seat in the 2nd row nearest the window. She settled herself in place and didn't give me another glance for the rest of the day. Okay, we can answer number 2 and 3 from this slide. The pale purity of her face. Purity means that she is pure, that she is innocent and untouched. And he compares himself to something at her feet with her, and says that she has touched him on his shoulder with her sword. So what does he compare himself to? So look for that section. And then we're going to move on to the fourth question on the next slide. After that first meeting of our eyes, Nicole Renard ignored me, although I was always aware of her presence in the classroom or the corridor or the schoolyard. I found it hard to glance at her, both hoping and fearing she'd return my glance and leave me blushing and wordless. She never did. Was the look that passed between us the first day a wish of my imagination? Luckily, she became friendly with Marie Lacroix, who lived above my family in the 3rd floor of our house on 5th Street. The girls often walked home from school together. Nicole lived 1 street over on 6th. I trailed after them, happy to be following in Nicole's footsteps. They giggled and laughed, their school books pressed against their chests, and I hoped that one of Nicole's books would fall to the ground so I could rush forward to pick it up. Actually, we will be going on to the next slide. You cannot answer 4 yet. Once in a while, Nicole visited Marie on the 3rd floor, and I lurked on the piazza below, trying to listen to their conversation, hoping to hear my name. I heard only the murmur of their voices and occasionally bursts of laughter. Standing at the banister in agony of love and longing like a sentry on a lonely guard duty, I waited for Nicole to come down the stairs so that I could get a glimpse of her and perhaps catch her attention. She'd come into view, my mouth would instantly dry up. I would look away, afraid my voice would emerge as a humiliating squeak if I tried to say hello. A moment later, I'd hear her footsteps fading away, and I'd plunge into agony of regret, vowing to talk to her the next time. Okay. Often in the evening, when families gathered on the piazzas, the men drinking beer they had brewed from big crocks in the dirt floor cellars, and the women mending socks and knitting as they chatted, I'd seek out Marie and try to get her to mention Nicole Renard. Although we were separated by that chasm of being 12 years old when boys and girls barely acknowledged each other's existence, Marie and I spoke to each other once in a while because we lived in the same three-decker. Sitting on the steps, we'd talk about everything and nothing. She liked to tell jokes. She'd imitate Sister Matilda, who had trouble with her digestion and tried to disguise her burps behind her hand, and sometimes rushed out of the room, slamming the door behind her. She lets off farts when she goes into the corridor, Marie maintained, doing a quick imitation of those corridor farts. Baseball was a big topic with us. Monument has always been a baseball town, and Frenchtown teams made up of players from the shops often won the city championships in the Twilight Industry League. Marie's older brother Vincent was an all-star shortstop for Frenchtown Tigers, and father, my father, whose nickname was Lefty, had been an all-star catcher for the same team years before. I kept wondering how to bring Nicole Renard's name into the conversation. She had no brothers and sisters about whom I could inquire. I didn't know whether she liked to read or who her favorite movie stars might be. Finally, I plunged. We had fallen into a comfortable silence, listening to the men argue mildly about the Red Sox, and I said, Nicole Renard seems very nice, feeling the color creeping into my cheeks. Marie turned and fixed her eyes on me. Yes, she said. I said nothing more. Marie didn't speak either. My father's voice reached us with his old refrain about how selling Babe Ruth to the Yankees had brought a curse upon the team. Do you like her? She asked finally. My breath came fast. Who? An exasperated sigh escaped her. Nicole. Nicole Renard. I don't know, I said, cheeks incinerating now. I didn't know what to do with my hands. Then why'd you ask about her? I don't know, I said again, feeling stupid and trapped, knowing I'd fallen into Marie LaCroix's clutches and that she'd probably blackmail me forever. Okay, you can answer number 4 now at this point. Why is it so hard for him to bring up Nicole's name to Marie? He talks about how she doesn't have any siblings. He doesn't know anything about her. She also talks about what he's afraid will happen if Marie figures out that he likes Nicole. I'm going to move on to we're going to look for question number 5. Finally, I threw myself on her mercy. Yes, I said, I like her. Astonished at the relief I felt at this admission, I wanted to shout it from the rooftops. I love her with all my heart. Please don't tell her, I pleaded. Your secret is safe with me, Maria said. But was it? Yet deep within me was the knowledge that I wanted her to tell Nicole Renard that I loved her. 3 days later, Marie and Nicole again passed time together in the old piazza above mine. I sat reading The Sun Also Rises, realizing that Ernest Hemingway seldom used big three-syllable words, which made me wonder if anyone, including me, could become a writer. When I heard Nicole making noises of departure, her footsteps crossing the floor, she called bye-bye to Marie. I closed the book and perched on the banister, positioning myself where it would be impossible for her to ignore my presence. Hearing her footsteps on the stairs, I curled my legs around the rungs of the banister. She came into view. I didn't look away this time. "Don't fall off, Frances," she said as she passed quickly by and went down the stairs. I was so startled by her voice, by the fact that she'd actually spoken to me, that I almost did fall off the banister. Regaining my balance, I realized that she'd actually spoken my name. "Don't fall off, Frances." My name had been on her lips. Then I winced in agony of embarrassment. Why hadn't I answered her? Did she now think I was stupid, unable to start a conversation? Had she merely been teasing me, or had she been really afraid that I might fall off the banister? The question left me dazed with wonder. I never knew that love could be so agonizing. Finally, the big question. Had Marie told Nicole that I liked her? I never learned the answers to all those questions. Marie and I never talked about Nicole again. She was always coming and going in a hurry. So this would be the answer to number 6. And I was too timid to try to corner her. Summer vacation started and everyone fell into different routines. Nicole didn't visit our three-decker anymore. I caught sight of her sometimes on 3rd Street going in or coming out of a store. My breath held. I saw her strolling the convent grounds with Sister Matilda one hot summer afternoon. One evening, as I hung out in front of Laura's drug store with Joey LeBlanc and some other kids, I saw her walking across the street, her white dress a blur in the dark evening. She looked our way and waved. I waved back, thrilled at her attention. Joey LeBlanc waved, calling out, "Hey, Nicole, you've got a run in your stockings," laughing at what he thought was a very witty remark. He couldn't see her stockings at that distance, of course. Nicole paused, tilting her head as if puzzled. Joey burst into more laughter, and Nicole walked on, quickening her step. "You've got a big mouth," I told Joey, turning away in disgust. "What's the matter with you?" he asked. I didn't answer. I wondered if she'd been waving at Joey LeBlanc or me. That is the end of chapter 2. You should be able to answer all 8 questions at this point, and you should have answered in complete sentences.